On this episode of System Integrators Weekly, we're taking a look at 3 different system integrators, seeing what new things they have to offer. All that and more in this episode of SI Weekly.
Let's go, nerds!
Hello, everyone. I'm Brea Thorne. Welcome to SI Weekly, where we take a look at system integrators who put PCs together for you so you can buy them pre-built. And we see what they have to offer so you can make an informed decision about what's right for you. Now, we've covered a couple of these SIs before, but there's one that we've never covered on this show before. So we're going to start it off with PowerGPU, then move over to Paradox Customs, and then we've got Seattle Built PCs, or as Twitter would have you call them, Orca Computer People. Before I get into that, though, I want to remind you guys that there are still some units left over for the Azure 2 BenQ monitor bundle over at Skytech. This guy right here, this system right here in the Montech Sky 2 case in the special Morocco blue color that I reviewed in this video right here. Check that out right there. Get yourself one. I believe there's like 20 or 25 left. So make sure to use code SWARM though, so you get an even further discount off the $16.99 price, making it an even better deal. We'll move on to the SIs after I let you know that this video is sponsored by VIP CDK Deals.
The best place to go when you want to get yourself an OEM Windows license to get rid of that annoying watermark and unlock all the customization Windows has to offer. So instead of paying well over $100 for a retail version of Windows, you can get an OEM key for a fraction of the price. Plus, you can use my code BRE25 to get a nice fat discount off of the already discounted price. Keep in mind that this is an OEM key that gets attached to this system and cannot be used with another one or if you change your hardware. Make sure you get the right key for your operating system. For more information on how to use CDK Deals, click the link in the description saying here's how it works, and I'll walk you through the whole thing. Thank you, CDK Deals, for continuing to support the channel.
Okay, before we get into this, a few quick disclaimers. This video is being filmed for July 10th, 2023. All pricing and availability that you see here is subject to change. It could change tomorrow, it could change in 2 weeks. Make sure that you're watching my most recent content. At the end of the video, you'll see a link to the latest content that we have, or you can just subscribe to the channel and you'll get updates as to when new stuff comes out, especially if you click that bell. Next one is that you're going to hear my opinions. I'm sure you have your own opinions, and if they differ, let me know in the comments below or discuss it in the Discord, which you can find a link for in the description below. And the final one is none of this is financial advice. I'm not telling you, hey, buy this or buy that. My job is actually to break this all down for you so that you have more information so you can make an informed decision for yourself. All these systems are going to come with a warranty. If it arrives and it got damaged in shipping, all that kind of stuff is covered. I mean, you're good, but those things can happen. It doesn't mean that it's a bad company or the world hates you or you have the worst luck or whatever. These things just happen. If you want, you can get feedback on some of these system integrators in our Discord under the SI Testimonials group of channels. And before anyone in the comments is like, oh, you build it yourself. Why do they charge to build it? And yada, yada. Why do they got to pay their employees and pay the overhead for their building and their bills? It's a business. They have to make money. With that all being said, let's go ahead and check out PowerGPU. Now, PowerGPU, when I first encountered them, all they had was a build request form. Since then, so much has changed. Jesse and the team have been working nonstop on the website to make it even better. And at this point, right when you get to the site, I love this. You get 4 main options here that point you in the right direction. You have the original build request where you can basically say, hey, here's my budget, here's what I want. And then they get back to you with some suggestions and you can go from there. Then there's the custom builder. This is where if you feel like you want to go ahead and choose your own parts, you can go through this, choose your parts, customize your system, and get a fully customized system built just for you. This right here is new. This is the Power Series. The Power Series is a new offering from them where they're pre-configured systems that are supposed to be available for purchase all the time. And then there's the weekly drops, which are their ready to ship systems. So we're going to start here with this one. Man, looking at this, there's a lot available. In fact, it's kind of opposite right now, where instead of there being mostly out of stock systems and a few available, it's the other way around. But we're going to take a look at some of these because you don't often see budget systems here in the weekly drops. Let's take a look at this Glory here. Now, I can see where they're getting some of that lower pricing from. We're going with the 10th gen Intel processor. We're on 13th gen right now. This is a few generations back. Of course, that means it has to have the matching motherboard there for that generation. 16 gigs DDR4, that's totally fine. 512 drive, that's not really enough. for it to be your only storage these days. That's a bit low. 80 plus bronze, 650 watt power supply, 240 AIO. At this price point, I don't know if a 10400 is going to really stress it. Even a decent air cooler, so it's a bit excessive, but hey, it's in there. And an RTX 2060 KO. The 2060 is still a banger, and the 2060 KO was one of the better ones at the time. But still, the downside to me here is a lack of upgradability beyond, 10th or 11th gen CPUs. So, it's basically something where I would like to have seen a 12th gen. Let's see this fireworks here. 10700, some more cores, but still 10th generation. 1 terabyte Gen 4 drive though. We're at $1299 here for this system. And an RTX 3070. This is hard for me to say no. I mean, look, there's still previous generation hardware that's brand new in the box out there. And what is supposed to happen with it? Is it supposed to go to e-waste, go to the landfill? I could see this being pretty good. I mean, yeah, absolutely. But you have to be okay with it being older generation and the loss of performance. I mean, it still is going to be a decent processor, but it is the 10th gen is really showing its age at this point. I'm guessing that PowerGPU got their hands on some previous gen hardware for a good price, and they're making some budget systems out of it. Basically, you're going to be relying mostly on your GPU. Gaming mostly happens in your graphics card. So this also has a 3070, but there's some interesting things happening here. 10700KF, ASRock Z590 Extreme, 64 gigs of DDR4, 3200. So you have a boot drive. That's a 250 gig Gen 3 boot drive. And then a Samsung 870 QVO 2 terabyte SATA internal SSD. That's going to be your 2.5-inch SSDs. But still, you're getting a lot of computer for $1459. Ships in 1 to 3 business days, sometimes even same day. So, okay. Well, of course, they have higher end ready to ship systems. This is usually more around the prices where you'll see it. This Omen, though, what is in this Omen? This is 1080p gaming, so you have a 3050 in here, but this has a 13400F. That's a 10-core CPU on a Z690 Tomahawk. It's an interesting choice, going with a mid-range Z690, meaning it can use like a K-SKU processor, which they don't make a 13400K, but like a 13600K, 13700K, 13900K, 1 terabyte Gen 4 NVMe drive, Kingston Fury Renegade, 16 gigs, DDR4 3600, CL16. That's fast memory. And a nice case too. I do like this Asus Tough case. There are some interesting combinations here. And the thing is, whenever someone's like, hey, is this computer good? I don't know if it's good for you or not, because you know what your needs are. If you know you want to stream, I recommend 32 gigs of RAM. If a system doesn't have that, consider a different system that does have that. Do video editing, 64 gigs of RAM, and maybe more cores on your CPU, that kind of thing. Just gaming, get yourself a budget CPU and a nice GPU. But anyway, let's look at this one. I like a good SFF build, small form factor build. Corsair iQ 2000D, H150i Elite. This little case is interesting to me. It's a ton of mesh panels here on this. Tons of airflow, a 360 millimeter radiator in there, cooling off this 13700K processor. So that's 16 core processor right there, 8 performance cores, 8 efficiency cores, Z790i Edge Wi-Fi, DDR5 mini ITX motherboard, 32 gigs of DDR5 6000 mega transfers per second, 2 terabyte 990 Pro, which is good because there's not a lot of M.2 sockets on ITX motherboards. So having a large capacity one on there is good for your boot drive. MSI Gaming X Trio 4080. Now, this might look like a lot for, i7 and 4080, but those prices fluctuate from SI to SI. And also, small form factor stuff is usually a little bit more expensive, and plus the labor is more difficult. Putting one together can be harder, more time consuming, all of that. This thing is sick. If you don't have much space on your desk, and you need a small form factor system, or you're looking for something for like DreamHack for the BYOC area, for the LAN area, this packs up easily, and it's small but powerful. So this is really nice. I like this. But anyway, as you can see, there are a ton of systems here in the ready to ship. You can basically look at the price filter here and filter it up to say, you know what, I need something around $2,000 to $3,000 or $2,800, something in that range. Basically, find what's in your price range if you need something quickly. Now, the Power Series is new, and we're going to take a look at it now. Basically, what you're going to have are 3 pre-configured systems. Okay. And what they did is they optimized it for the performance you might be looking at for 3 different levels. Power Prime, $1,899 with a 13600K and a 4060 Ti. Moving up to the Power Prestige, $3,000 for the i7-13700K and a 4080. So cheaper than the small form factor build that we just saw in the ready to ship systems. And it's going to be in a higher airflow case. I'm not a big fan of this deep cool case because it has a lot of metal on the front instead of, more metal than holes, basically. We have a finer mesh on this deep cool case here, plus a little readout on the screen to sort of give you CPU temps, things like that, plus a 4080. So you're talking about 1440p to 4K gaming. And then 4K gaming or really high refresh rate 1440p with the Power Elite 4199, 13900K and a 4090 is pretty much... it's top of the heap stuff. This is top of the line stuff. You're looking at 32 gigs of DDR5 6000, Z790 Carbon Wi-Fi motherboard, DDR5, so it's one of the highest end motherboards from MSI without going to like the godlike nonsense. You have a 2 terabyte Kingston SSD, 1200 watt, 80 plus gold, fully modular power supply from Seasonic. You have several different options from the Power series. And these should ship in 1 to 3 business days. Now, a quick peek, though, at their custom builder, because this has changed. You have 3 options here, okay? The primary one, most people need to go to the right over here, to the gaming, starting at 1180 right here. These are gaming PCs. There you go. Now, why is this one over here on the left called streaming? Is that a PC for gaming and streaming? No, wait, no. This is just a streaming PC, meaning you got your gaming PC over here, and a second streaming PC. Pretty common in more serious stream setups. It doesn't require the same things as a PC that does both streaming and gaming. So you have choices between 3 13th gen processors at 13600K, 13700K, 13900K. I would say, honestly, for a streaming PC, you could legitimately go with like a 13500 or 13400. 13400 having, 10 cores, 13500 having 14 cores. I don't see anyone overclocking a streaming PC. You know what I mean? And it could help bring the price down. Motherboards are, there's a decent selection here, but other than the B760 here, these are all Z series motherboards. Not sure that would be necessary for a streaming only PC. The main thing you want to look for on a streaming PC is you want to have a decent amount of I/O still. Because what'll happen is your gaming PC does all the gaming, but on your streaming PC, you're going to have your OBS, you're going to have your cameras all hooked up to it. You might be running music, Discord, things like that. Like having the default be 16 gigs of RAM, maybe if you're running a pretty lean stream. Other than that, I would push it right up to 32 gigs just to make sure you never run out of memory. And this kit right here is only $30 more. Bam. I would probably push it up to the AK620 if you want to go air cooled, but there are liquid cooling options as well. Definitely go with an AIO if you're going with the 13700K or 13900K. And then there's just going to be some other stuff like storage, your GPU. You can go up to a 4060 Ti. 4060 or 4060 Ti are your only options here. The good side, you're getting AV1 encoding, which is currently available for streaming to YouTube, but not yet available for streaming to Twitch or I guess Kick. I don't know. But that should be available eventually, and it makes for lower bit rate, yet still high quality streams. Yeah, I mean, just those 2 options is pretty much all you would need for a streaming PC. But yeah, that's the streaming PC. And then of course you have your mini ITX, which is going to be a little bit more limited in some of the parts you can choose, but also more expensive. Let's go and take a quick look at the gaming build here. What you're going to have are 4 options here. 2 of them are Intel, 2 of them are AMD. You have good Intel, best Intel, good AMD, best AMD. So it's going to basically change what the minimum starts at and what the maximum is allowed on certain components. You already just saw kind of what the configurator looks like for the streaming one. These are similar, but just for more fully fleshed out configurator with more part options, things like that. So, take a tour through them, see if they're to your liking. And if you do choose to buy anything from PowerGPU, guess what? They're part of Operation Code Braethorn. That means they also have a code. The code there is easy. It's just Braethorn, and it gets you $50 off any PC on the site. I've also covered Paradox Customs in the past, but not as frequently. So we're going to take a good look at what happened here because Arpit runs Paradox Customs, owner of Paradox Customs, sent me a message saying, hey, check us out. We just dropped our prices on stuff. And I was like, okay, I like getting heads ups like that because then it lets me know when I need to go back and reevaluate some of the offerings from a particular site. So right off the bat, it just tells you, hey, start building. You got to remember, whoever's designing a website for their system integrator website, the first thing that your potential customer sees is important. They need to have something guiding them where to go. Now you can either just click start building, or you can go to these options up here. Build, pre-builts, steals and deals, parts, request. So whatever options you have here, you're telling them, here's what we got for you. Now, if you skip past some of this, you'll see a little bit of stuff, some messages about their stuff and what they're about, right into a custom PC request form. We've seen these before. This one's a little lean on questions, as in like, what are you going to use it for? Oftentimes I found when I was helping people one-on-one on stream that many consumers don't know what to ask themselves. You guys might not know what questions are important when deciding how to spec out your PC. So I do have a video talking about the questions you need to ask yourself before you buy or build a PC. That link is right here. If you guys over at Paradox want to check that out and see what I recommend people ask themselves, you can just throw those questions in your build form. Let's get past that and go to build, and we're going to take a look at that. What you've got here is they're kind of doing it by case, it makes sense because oftentimes your case selection can influence what parts you can even put in it. And as you go up, you'll notice that the price can go up because you can fit more elaborate, expensive parts in there. Okay. Taking a quick look through their budget system here, most of them are going to be similar to this in how they work, though the options will be different. So right there, you can choose your case, but because it tells you, hey, these are the case options, choose your case and then proceed. You're going to have the same case, but in 2 different colors. You can go with white. There's no price increase. Thank you for that, guys. Appreciate that. Once you made your selection, go back to review selections to get back to where you were. This system is actually pretty good for the price of $1265. You're starting out with a Ryzen 5 7600, meaning you're on the Ryzen 7000 series platform. Why is that good? Well, socket AM5 from AMD, they're going to be supporting that socket for the next few years, meaning the next few CPU releases will be compatible with the motherboard in this system. Meaning you could do a drop-in CPU upgrade in a few years and get multi-generational uplift in performance. But if you edit this, you can switch to an Intel system, AG500 cooler for the CPU, but you can switch up to an AIO. Okay, you're starting out with 32 gigs of DDR5 6000. Now, really quick, Ryzen 7000 series processors do have a RAM sweet spot when it comes to frequency, and that is 6000. So looking at this, y'all did your research. I appreciate you. A 1 terabyte M.2 drive. This system also starts you out with a 3060. However, if you want slightly improved performance plus AV1 encoding and DLSS 3.0, you could go with a 4060 for only $30 more. Let's see, 650 watt bronze power supply, perfectly fine for this configuration. Their labor cost is included here for $150. Anyway, you have options for warranty right here. You can upgrade your warranty if you like, and that's it. It's really, really nice and simple, very easy to do, and there are some great options there. But I'm going to go ahead and go to the pre-configured system. Estimated wait is 2 to 3 weeks. So when it says pre-built, I don't think that it's actually built. I think it's like pre-configured ones, as you can see here. So you got like the pre-built 1, pre-built 2, and pre-built 3 entry tier. Yeah, there's several entry tier, then it goes up to medium tier here. This is going to be another situation where you're going to decide for yourself, like, hey, I don't want to go in and customize all this nonsense. Here's my budget. Let's see what comes up. And you're like, oh, I'm at $2,000. Oh, cool. $2,030. There's an option here, and it's pretty good. 7700X, 8-core processor, B650 Tomahawk motherboard with Wi-Fi, 240mm AIO, 32 gigs of DDR5 rather, 6000, a 1 terabyte drive, 4070. 750 watt power supply, all that stuff. It's already configured. You just throw it in there. You just throw it in your cart. You're off on your merry way. If your budget's around $2,500 rather, and you want Intel, there's this option here. This one comes with a 13700K, a Z790, 32 gigs DDR5 6000, still a 1 terabyte. Once you get up to 2500, I don't think a 1 terabyte is viable anymore. I think it should be 2 terabytes. They're so cheap these days. Storage is dirt cheap. 4070 Ti, 850 watt power supply, 80 plus gold in the Corsair 4000D RGB airflow case. You're getting up to Y40s here. Y60s, if you like that. H7 Flow, awesome case. Okay, you got your H9 Flow. H9 Flow, Thermaltake Core P6. By the way, this can be mounted on your wall. Yeah, really beautiful systems here. Basically, choose the one you like, the one that's right for you and in your budget range there. Now, one thing about Paradox, the intention is for them to join Operation Code Braethorn. We don't have an active code right now, but it will just be Braethorn. Steals and deals. Like, I don't know what steals and deals is. Okay. I don't know what this is about. Okay. All right. Now we're talking. Arpit, really? Y'all don't understand. If you haven't seen my conversation with Arpit, the owner of Paradox Customs, that we had at CES in January, click right here, because there's a part of it where I was like, so why don't you guys put your logo on the case? You know, you get a cool logo, throw it on there. Most SIs do that. He was like, no, you know, we want to keep it to where it's clean. And this is clean. All right. This is super clean. Are you kidding me? That is just like, I'm not young enough to know the right term to tell you how cool this looks, in my opinion. This is the Meshlicious case. And as the name implies, there's mesh everywhere. The airflow on this is ridiculous. This is such a good, who did? Okay, V1 Tech did the print. Of course they did. Okay, let's look at the system. $1,660 for a 5800X on a B550i, Z53 cooler, NZXT Kraken, Z53. Man, why would y'all put the Z on there where it has a little screen when there's no glass? You can't even see it. Go for the X. 16 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte NVMe, 6700 XT. This right here is just a monster of a GPU. It's a monster of a GPU. 1440p all day long. 750 watt gold SFX power supply. Man, that purple print. Still $1,660 for some of the parts you got here. Yeah, now this is good. You got several small form factor systems ready to ship. Look at this crazy thing. 2335, 5950X. Okay. 7950X 3D, 7900 XTX, all Radeon, all AMD system right here. Anyway, there's some really good stuff there. Man, y'all are doing good. I like it. Okay, plus if you already have a system that you feel is fairly up to date, but it's running slowly, you can have optimization done for your already existing system. Even schedule your date and get it all set up right here through the website. Okay, Paradox, keep it up. Now we're gonna take a look at Seattle Built PCs, Orca computer people. And I've known about them for a while. However, for a while, they only had an online build request form, which I can't really give my opinion on that. It doesn't show me what their systems are like, what their pricing is like, really, unless I do a request. They have pre-con and custom PCs. So pre-configured PCs are getting up to $300 off. So that right there is going to give you some pre-configured options on the site. And we're going to take a look at them, and I'm going to give them a fair shake. So introducing a brand new line of Orca Precons, a series of 9 pre-configured gaming PCs spread across 3 tiers based on performance and aesthetics. Precons are a new way to purchase Seattle Built PC with clearly described specs, performance, and picks. We want to make purchasing your next PC as easy as possible. We love the Pacific Northwest and only the Pacific Northwest. I'm kidding. I want to share a piece of our home with you. Our precons are categorized into pods or orca communities with PCs named after real orcas swimming in the local waters. That is wholesome AF. Okay, so I guess Kiki, Mako, and Alki are all orcas that are in the, and appropriately, they look like they're all in black and white colors. Let's take a look here at the $999 entry-level build. Okay, choose for black or white. Cool. And you can choose to get cable upgrades, get braided cables. Of course, the purple ones are the best ones. Okay, with 12400F and a 6600, RX 6600, you're not going to want to go above 1080p. I do see this, and I have an objection. I know there were improvements, but 6000 series Radeon cards still weren't up to snuff when it came to encoding as compared to NVENC on NVIDIA GPUs. It's not what I would recommend to someone who's doing a single PC streaming setup. Besides which, 16 gigs of RAM. I've done a little bit of streaming myself, being a Twitch partner and all that. That runs out real fast once you start having more applications open or your streaming even gets the slightest bit fancy. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I know the price is $999. I understand that. And I'm not asking you to not make money. I know you need to. 512 ain't enough. It is not enough for a gaming PC or streaming PC or any PC these days. Plus, this system is limited to an M-ATX motherboard, meaning there are fewer options for adding fast storage depending on the motherboard you used. You're very limited here. Your customers, rather. Bump that up to 1 terabyte and it won't cost you much more. Let's go ahead and move up to the next level. See what we got. We're going from $999 up to $1199. And I'm going to immediately go here and get angry because now we're talking about a $1,200 PC with 512 gigs of storage. I see that where the money went, where the upgrade is. 6700 XT is a big jump from the 6600, but still I would leave off the streaming thing because this is a 6000. Like, don't give people expectations that this is going to be a great streaming PC. This is rough right here. It's still not great. There we go. You got to go up to $1,500 to get anything more than 512 storage. We go up to a 13400F, which is a solid upgrade. I mean, I know just one of the digits changed, but that also means it goes from a 6-core processor to a 10-core processor. Adding 4 efficiency cores can make a big difference, okay? Plus, a RTX 3070 instead of an AMD Radeon card. If this was 32 gigs of RAM, which isn't that much more expensive than 16 gigs of DDR4, as you guys know, this would be a competent streaming PC. Like, I mean, to where not just getting into it, but streaming for a while. I did a lot of streaming and content creation on a 3070 with 32 gigs of RAM and a decent amount of cores. I mean, this would do all of that. So I would say, yeah, this is a good system. Okay. Other than the motherboard being one of the cheapest options you can get for this platform, it does have nice connectivity when it comes to network devices, wireless devices, things like that. That's nice. Let's go back and let's go to the next pod. All right, we're gonna go to K-Pod. We're gonna meet Kali, Tika, and Opus. Opus really does look like an Orca, am I right? So this is $2,049. What can you expect for spending $2,050 with Seattle Built PCs? Well, you can expect some pretty dang good specs here, okay? Now we're sticking with DDR4, 32 gigs, 3600 CL16, but we have a 13600K paired to a Z790P Wi-Fi motherboard. That means you can actually utilize the overclocking capabilities of the 13600K. 1 terabyte SSD, $2,000. I guess that's still okay. We have a 4070 Ti, 12 gig card here. Still nice connectivity here. MSI Thermaltake, 750 watt, 80 plus gold, ATX 3.0. So you have that 12V PWR connector default there. That's nice. Hold up a second. I might be crazy here, but if I'm not mistaken, this Deepcool AG400 is the same cooler you're using on a 12400F. And you have it on a 13600K. Now, can the 13600K run on this? Yes. But if you're going to go to the trouble to get a K-SKU processor and put it on a Z-series motherboard, you're anticipating that they may want to do some overclocking, right? That cooler ain't going to do much in that regard. At $2,000, you could have gone with either a beefier cooler or a more budget-oriented AIO. 240mm AIO would handle this very well. Hey, look, this is just my take on it, all right? This is me saying, let's refine this a little bit, okay? We're moving up to the Tika here. I like the Fractal Pop Air because you get a lot of color options here. Very smart move on their part to go with this. And then you have the Height Y40 for an additional $100. And if you want that Orca look, that's going to be it right there. That's the one. Okay, 13700K. On a Z790P, same motherboard. Y'all bought a lot of these, didn't you? You did put a... Wow! You made up for it by putting a 540mm AIO. How did you fit that in the Fractal Pop Air? Pretty sure that 5 is supposed to be a 2, so it's a typo. It's no big deal. But that's hilarious. That caught me off guard. Now, what you do have here that's pretty sweet is the AMD Radeon RX 7900 XT. You get 20 gigs of VRAM. All those, alarmist messages out there saying like, oh, games are taking up so much VRAM now. You're going to be able to shrug those off and be like, shut up and go away. And we got 32 gigs of DDR4. You're getting into DDR5-ish territory where you should be doing DDR5, but that's okay. Or you'd be getting into about 2 terabyte territory. I mean, you can't have all of these things be upgraded and still keep it in any kind of reasonable price, like close to that 2400, I guess. Let's move on to the Opus. I'm a little upset because I haven't seen a Willy yet. Come on. That's the wrong thing. Phrasing is Free Willy, okay? It freaking took over movie theaters in the 90s, all right? Just shut up. Okay, we're at $2,800, nearly $3,000. What does that get you from Orca PC people? 13700K. What were we on before? 13700K. DDR4, 240mm. Hey, we got it right this time. Look, y'all know that 13700K draws a lot of power, right? Like, this thing has VRM heat sinks. but they're not amazing. The power delivery is just okay. Going from 2400 to 2800, that money goes towards the 4080. That's where all the money goes. That's why you're still on a 1 terabyte at nearly $3,000. You still have just 1 terabyte of storage. Ooh, that's gonna go quick. I mean, you're looking at a killer combo of CPU and GPU here. I don't think that's the right motherboard. That should have changed back at 2,400 bucks. This is just the epitome of like max CPU, GPU, and everything else doesn't matter kind of thing. You know, okay, we're going to LPod and we're starting off at $3449, $3450, and you give them a terabyte of storage. I get it. It has a 4090, but dude, that's so little. It's just take a little tiny bit of that 4090 money, like a 5% of that 4090 money. You could have a 2 terabyte in there. Listen, this, and I'm speaking directly to Seattle Built PCs, Orca PC people. I'm talking right to you guys right now. Okay. We are PC building enthusiasts. That is what we are. You're not necessarily, in fact, you're very much unlikely to be selling your PCs to other PC building enthusiasts. That means you have to put yourself into their shoes. Try to adopt their mindset. And the mindset of someone buying a pre-built is very likely to be, I want to buy this, get it out of the box, and get gaming. And I never want to open it. And right here, this customer who's giving you $3,449 in about a year after they've downloaded a few games, you know, a good 10, 12 games or whatever, they're done. There's no more space. You and I know how easy it is to add storage to a system. Very easy, simple even, but you shouldn't just expect them to be willing to do that. At this price point, nothing should be short of top of the line. 13700K still, but we're going up to DDR5, Trident Z5, 32 gig, 6000 CL36, very fast, very nice RAM kit, 360 millimeter AIO. Okay, let's look at the Wave Walker V3, $4,549, $4,549. This is $1,000 more. So 13900K is one of the best processors, desktop processors in the world right now. And we're going from a deep cool AIO to a Corsair H150i Elite LCD, Asus ROG Strix Z790-H/A gaming, MSI/Thermaltake 1200 watt 80 plus gold ATX 3.0, 4090 of course, 2 terabyte drive. They had to spend an additional $1,100 to get 1 more terabyte of storage, and of course all the other stuff, which, you know, we're glossing over that. I think there's some tweaking that needs to be done with this. That's my opinion. And by the way, if I get passionate about this stuff, it's not anger, okay? And it can come off that way. I can be a little bit like in disbelief or like, come on, guys. But it's because I genuinely care about this kind of stuff. And I like giving my feedback because sometimes it's helpful for some companies. So other ones shrug it off. But sometimes you need a fresh pair of eyes on your own project, your own work. Smart move though. Check this out. This is what I do appreciate right here. Check this out. So with the 13900K, they went with the 32 gigs of G.Skill Trident Z5 DDR5 7200. Well, why not go with that for the Ryzen system? Well, because 6000 is going to work better with Ryzen. You're going to have better stability, things like that. That's just, it's a sweet spot for Ryzen. That's how their architecture generally works, and it's not the worst thing. Okay, I think though that we've looked at enough stuff here. You clearly have pre-configured systems for every budget. Some of them need a little tweaking here and there, and there's nothing wrong with that. And at a certain price threshold, it should be 2 terabytes, not 1 terabyte. Those kinds of things are standards we have to set for ourselves so that your customers will get the experience they want and deserve, because most people buying pre-builts don't want to get into DIY. They never will. That's okay. It has zero to do with them getting into PC gaming. PC gaming is for everyone. PC modding and building is not. God, is there going to be one episode where I don't go on some crazy rant? I'm not trying to put the wrong foot forward here or make a bad first impression, and I know you're not either. There was a lot of thought put into these. I can tell. Just the theming. There's a lot of care that went into this. I just want you guys to know my take on it as someone who looks at system integrators for a living. just as much as I shout loudly to say this is not enough or whatever, I will cheer just as loudly to see you guys succeed. It's just the duality of my own existence. Anyway, guys, for those of you who tuned in all the way to the end here, thank you very much. I appreciate it. We got a good look at Seattle Built PCs, Paradox, and PowerGPU. And we're going to have more coming up next week. And we're going to have LTX coverage at the end of the month, which is going to be awesome. I really can't wait for that. And I'm nervous to meet Papa Linus and all those guys, but it's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, tune in, stay tuned, get subscribed so you catch the video next week. But until then, take care.